Across Fallout New Vegas and its DLCs, one of the most captivating and tragic enemy types the player can come across are the Lobotomites in Old World Blues. Mindless shells of previous unfortunate travelers, they can be found roaming the Big Empty, savagely attacking anyone they come across. Now in the context of the DLC story, you as the courier technically become a Lobotomite with your brain's removal, but how would things play out if you became just like all the other ones? In other words, can you beat Fallout New Vegas as a Lobotomite? Okay, so what exactly does this run entail? For starters, I can only use any equipment the Lobotomites in Old World Blues spawn with. For armor, this can be challenging as I can only wear the patient gown, Lobotomite jumpsuit, the mask, and the goggles. For weapons, however, these guys can spawn in with some serious kit at higher levels, with a good mix of ranged and melee killing tools. Considering the one thing a Lobotomite is still good at is killing, it should be obvious how this run is going to play out once I'm back from my operation. With that said, let us begin in the name of science. After the introductory foreplay to our future lobotomy courtesy of Benny, I wake up at Doc Mitchell's. He asks me for my name and I give it in the way I believe most Lobotomites would. Seeing as how we're headed for a place of scientific madness, I create my standard appropriate character Glowstick Man, this time with a red hair trim. When it comes to character creation, some sets are obvious. Intelligence and charisma are drained to 1, while strength, endurance, and agility are put to 9. Luck is at 9 too. It's just surviving the brain extraction procedure 200 years after Armageddon. It has to have some luck in it to just not outright die. Showing off my imbecilic tendencies right away, I managed to grab a book and position it just right to block Doc Mitchell from sitting down. After a brief struggle, he gives up trying to sit down, and I get to assign my tag skills. Guns and melee are quick decisions, but for a third, I go repair, seeing as I won't be able to ask others to do so in this game. As for trait, Hoarders fits the character build as the Lobotomites tend to hoard random objects on themselves and in a few select locations. For my second trait, I pick Hot-Blooded, as I can foresee many encounters where I'm reduced to half health and then can inflict some extra damage in return. Leaving Doc Mitchell's, and to start, I have a few eligible weapons to use, like a 9mm pistol, a knife, caravan shotgun, and a 357 revolver from behind the saloon counter. Outside, and Sunny also hands me the Varmint rifle, which I am also allowed to use. Knowing once I enter Old World Blues I cannot leave the DLC until it's over, I purchased impacts from Chet and Doc before leaving in the direction of Nipton. Nothing to note along the way, other than marking enough places to hit level 2, and deciding to take Confirmed Bachelor as my first perk, for the 10% damage increase against males. I also found Tire Iron along the way to give myself a better melee weapon. Just before entering, I did also hit level 3 after murdering Oliver Swanick and some Bark Scorpions, which is quite beneath the recommended level of 15 for this DLC, but better to enter now and get the crux of this run underway than to grind for more levels. Once past the introduction, I awaken my patient gown that will serve as my new outfit for a time. I was fine wearing other armor until I got here, as I wasn't yet lobotomized, for the information. Regardless, Glowstick Man could really show off his shining stuff. Then to getting to move on and chatting with my diabolical creators. For the sake of this run, nothing said here is that important other than one of my favorite lines of the DLC.
What illogic is this? Keep your filthy penis-tipped feet out of our labs and secrets.
Walking outside, and if my first combat encounter is anything to go on, guns will not be my strong suit. I'm guessing because of my low perception, many of my shots miss unless I'm right up in front of them or using VATS. But this kill does give me better gear in the Lobotomite jumpsuit and mask. Shame combined together, the DT provided is less than 10. Next kill gets me a hatchet, a better improvement for a primary melee weapon. I say that, yet my swings with it bounce right off the Protectrons while going for the X2 antenna. Seeing how my defense is quite lacking, I start funneling points into survival as they get the Red Child perk for its broken healing factor, and right now I take the Cannibal perk for emergency healing situations. That, and also for the character build, as the Lobotomites I'm pretty sure are heavily hinted to be cannibalistic towards their dead. Regardless, after I grab the antenna I can't use, I make a mad dash away from the many fellow lobotomites, robo-scorpions, and skeletons swarming my location. While running, I come across a lobotomite carrying a proton axe, who I decide to stand and fight, as this weapon is one of the best I can procure, and boy was I right. The proton axe, on top of having a high base damage, also does extra damage to robots, which helps out massively when plowing my way through the many in the crater. Picking this up is what eventually made my mind shift to focusing on melee combat going forward. I did also procure a Saturnite Power Fist as well too, to spice things up a bit. Just know going forward that every time I kill a fellow lobotomite, I'm stripping them for their outfit since it is very brittle, and having several on me for repairs is going to be useful. Once at the X8 facility, I implant my axe and fist into several robot faces, and same goes for the cyberdogs throughout the test area. Interesting detail I kind of want to point out, the X8 facility is the only place where you can actually find female lobotomites, and once killed they do not respawn. While here, I finally put enough skills into survival and take the most broken perk in the game, Brad Child. Partial spoilers for later events, this perk is what makes this run so much easier. Depending on your level of radiation poisoning, this perk will give you a greater healing benefit that applies every second, up to, I believe, 8 HP a second on the highest level. For the time, I get the first rank by sucking on the fountain before leaving. All that's left is to put down Gabe and retrieve the bark sample, and to cut my way out through the robo-scorpions that spawned in after. Milling around against Dr. Klein's orders, I raid the Y-17 facility for the auto dock mod before shifting my focus to the Cuckoo's Nest. The Cuckoo's Nest is right next to the X2 facility and is swarming with lobotomites, including this one that I engaged in an honorable proton axe duel. Inside also includes a unique named one, Test Subject 1, who I score the upgraded proton inversal axe, but also a brush gun from another lobotomite for my arsenal. But the best reward of all is finding my spirit appliance for conducting this challenge run.
I am online once again! Tremble, world, before my electric heating coil of doom!
Back out again. On the way to the X-13 stealth facility, I stopped by the Z-43 toxins plant, where the mist from dead money was created, and figured, yeah, this is a good place to radiate myself. The increased rad poison does reduce several special stats, like endurance and agility, but the healing factor is so worth it. Once in the stealth test, I don't even bother doing it legit, and just begin hacking and whacking the robots and turrets out of the way before breezing through the test just once. I can't use the waifu suit, so there's no point in upgrading it. After I return to the think tank, I make my way to the Forbidden Zone to confront Mobius, but before going in I realize I'm close to level 12, and as such I decide to grind up a little more XP to reach it. Once I do hit level 12, I quickly take Super Slam, as any good melee build should. Now more confident, I enter the zone and prepare to throw down with the giant Robo-Scorpion.
Attention visitors. Combat experiment in progress. Please put on your goggles. Now, please, this is a pre-recorded attack message indicating my desire to...
Okay, try again.
Defiant to the end. You'll never disable me from
Yeah, I was talking up Radchild, but the giant Robo-Scorpion can do enough damage in just a few hits, it doesn't help. Remember that my defense consists only of the Lobotomite jumpsuit and the mask plus goggles, which combined gives only 9 damage resistance. I do have both ranks in toughness, but it still hits right through me. But by sheer stupid, bloody, stubborn, and headstrong determination, and spamming its impacts, I can whittle the giant arachnid down and claim victory. I celebrate swiftly after by cutting down its creator as soon as possible. By killing him this way, I don't have to bother with Mobius calling any more Robo-Scorpions to deal with.
Burns my bio.
talking to my brain, and it seems to gain smarts along with a voice. Me not liking being insulted by own brain, so me better off leaving it here. Brain talk make me head hurt more, so brain and other organs stay out in the body, never getting back in. Me then take shiny objects and feel goods, foods from Forbidden Zone, then go back to Think Tank. Once there, me swing purple axe and choppy floaty talking pickle jars. You make me brain hurt all over, so now me make your whole brain hurt permanently. Arrgh! Okay, I am not talking like that for the rest of the video. Normal narration from now on. Taking the advice of the toaster to heart, I set out to
burn the fucking world for me!
This begins immediately, as Malcolm Holmes was waiting by the crash site this whole time for my return. Nearby is Nipton, and I deliberately avoided going into town so as to begin my slaughter with Voltbase and his crew. Suffice to say, coming back from a DLC I was under-leveled for with all my toys, they never stood a chance. Going back to the source of the run, Goodsprings residents fell one by one. Joe Cobb was the first, then Pete, followed by Trudy and Sonny, and lastly had me some Chet mix. Doc and Ringo did not escape either, and with that over I followed my earlier path to Prim. Here going on a rampage of the Vicky and Vance ends quickly, as the small arms fire of the townsfolk and Prim Slim can't even dent my health bar. I continue this spree by cutting a path through the convicts and releasing Deputy Beagle. The NCR troops across the street are the last to go in Prim, and Lieutenant Hayes can come along in my stomach. Nothing much to comment on route to Novak. Just know that every Legion, NCR soldier, traitor, and raider group met their end at the hands of a brainless, enraged shell of a man in tattered clothes. Once at Novak, I intend to get everyone, including the Nightkin attacking the McBride's cattle. Speaking of which, the McBrides were the next to go, followed by the Doctor and her bodyguards, then Victor, and Boone, who was given a push to the back of the head. I also cleared out those living in the individual rooms like Cliff, Manny, and Daisy. At this point, I was starting to get used to seeing the quest failed notification after killing so many NPCs needed for said quests. Nobark was the last one to go, but only because I decided to spare Jeannie Mae Crawford for a change, as I so often kill her in casual playthroughs. I just opted to leave her be and let her be the sole survivor. Moseying down the highway, and as you could probably expect, Old Lady Gibson and the NCR outside Helios 1 are added to the body count. Inside though, I make another decision to spare someone. No, not Fantastic. He's too close a competition with me in the Smarts department to leave alive. I keep Ignacio Rivas alive instead, as he seems to be one of the few NPCs who treats you with dignity and respect, regardless of your intelligence. Continuing north, I made a detour to mark the Eldorado substation. As if it isn't obvious, Yes Man is the ending of choice for this run. With that in mind, the soldiers guarding it meet the same fate as those at Helios. This is also true for the NCR at Boulder City, who try so hard to slow me down, but are cut through all the same. The game then tries to hint me in the direction of letting the cons go, but my metal-infused mind is already made up, and so they must go. To commemorate our first encounter, I knocked Jessup to the ground and then put a bullet in his brain. To speed things up, any location I walk by from here to Vegas goes by the same. 188 Trading Post, where I first buy some rounds for the brush gun from Alexander before giving him one back. Followers Outpost, where one of the doctors just sits and watches the slaughter. Aerotech Office Park, now even more forgotten about with nobody living there. NCR Sharecropper Farm, and then lastly, the GRA. To finish off the guards there, I had to use the teleporting nature of VATS to get at them because I couldn't pick the lock gate. And once I was done, I just simply walked up the ramps to get back out. Now entering Freeside, rather than repeat myself more, here's a quick montage of the notable NPCs being snuffed out, and various other funny occurrences.
Yep.
mentally direct. Murder. I'm not gonna stand for that. I got more of that for you. Let's kill this guy!
You want someone dead? Really?
Had enough?
No! What have you
I'm
done?
hit. Come on. Had enough?
You like that? What have you done? No!
Come on.
What have you done? What have you done?
With Freeside free from living, I finally make my way onto the strip by, of course, cutting my way through the Securitrons and getting the key. Something weird happened once I got down and dirty with those on the strip. Not deterred by the bodies piling and the multiple Securitrons calling out homicide detected, Mr. Holdout decides to engage in a conversation with the brainless maniac chopping away with an axe, thinking I need protection? After exiting dialogue, he must have gotten the message and fled into Gomorrah. Obviously, this only prolonged his life a few seconds, as I followed him in and began to throw down. This time, rather than just the working men and women patrons, everybody inside Gomorrah is getting a fisting, all the way up to the bosses themselves. A good fisting is what every Omerta deserves, after all. Speaking of deserved violence, I make the tops my next port of call to give my thanks to Betty for that first lobotomy. Having saved up ammo for it, I bust out a 10mm SMG to complete the Nia-C challenge for some extra XP. I then remember that Lobotomites will use grenades too, and thus technically it is fine for me to do so as well. So I chuck a few plasma grenades I had to spice up the calling. When it comes to the man himself, I sprint axe wildly swinging toward him, as not having a real brain makes one less inclined for talking, don't you think? Oh, I should also mention my level is now up to 18 from the never-ending killing, and I take the Stonewall perk to prevent myself being knocked over, mainly by the Legate at the end. Having only one intelligence means having very few skill points, so I haven't been mentioning that much either. With that, I talk to Yes Man, and then temporarily incapacitate him, as I'd imagine my lobotomite mind has an habitual fear of any and all robots. This will come back to bite me a bit in the future, by the way. On my way outside, a funny glitch appears in the form of Caleb McCaffrey's body, teleporting onto the strip after I killed him in the Atomic Wrangler. It looks like he's halfway stuck in the ground, just like the paralysis demons in my compliance regulator run. Now charged with getting to know the different factions of the Mojave, my next important stop was just across the road, that being the White Gloves. Once more, the time here can be summarized as just punch, 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 rat-a-tat-tat-tat, blam, 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 and punch, punch, punch some more.
Our business is concluded. Good day. What was that for?
Now, with the chip in hand, I stroll on up to the Lucky 38 and immediately chop down Victor yet again. Fun fact, killing this particular version of Victor is most beneficial, as for whatever reason this one is carrying over 200 10mm rounds and 20 missiles in his inventory. As far as I know, this Victor is the only one that has this. Regardless, even if he could use that ammo, it doesn't stop my purple axe from planting itself into his screen, and the rest of the Securitrons fare this exact same fate. As for House, I once more whack him before he can get in a word. One day I'll hear him out and maybe side with him. I decide the Boomers shall be my next victims, and that bodes ill for those along the way there, namely Crimson Caravan. I make sure to give Alice McLafferty her dues for the barrels of my shotgun. Cass would have been proud. The other local to become dead and buried was the New Vegas Clinic. Less doctors means less potential lobotomy operations, right? But before running through the bombardment, I make a huge detour across the north of the map. Another weapon available that I can use to me as a lobotomite was the hunting shotgun. And since it is just one of my favorite weapons aesthetically, I walk all the way over to get one from outside Horowitz Farmstead. It's in bad shape, but a quick round to the sink and back fixes it right up. I then commemorate the weapon by blasting away George and the first boomer in the shack once teleported there. Further, I use it to execute Pearl after knocking her to the ground with Super Slam. I now have a suitable backup melee weapon to use in the various sledgehammers the boomers carry, and begin using that to smack them around so I can conserve the proton axis durability. I then give Loyal the same lobotomite "how do you do" I did Pearl, and with that the boomers are wrapped up and dead and buried. With just the cons and Brotherhood yet to meet, I opt for the cons next. I brush past some fiends getting there, but other than Driver Defy's head extraction, I don't engage them much. Given the environment of Red Rock Canyon having lots of drugs, I put myself full of them and let loose across the Longhouse. Even without the turbo, each con can't take more than 3 or 4 chops from my relentless onslaught. The last 2 to go are Jack and Diane, who get to spend their time by each other's side getting picked apart by vultures forevermore. Just like my previous New Vegas game, my one-tracked Electrode Mine gets sidetracked very easily. My closest fast travel to Hidden Valley is back at Good Springs, and on the way I decided to cave in some Powder Ganger skulls and thought, yeah, I got time. Figuring that my guy looks quite a bit like Jason Voorhees from behind, I choose to hack apart each of the Powder Gangers apart with the hatchet. Needless to say, but their puny weapons are no match for Radchild's overpowered healing factor, and without any real struggle, the gangers are no more. Okay, now it's time to assault the Brotherhood bunker. I dose myself up on every drug there is, and considering how far this build has come, I shouldn't have been surprised how fast the first few paladins went down, sliced through like a knife through cheese. Paper. The first floor is where things got tough. The initial rush may have made me a bit more reckless in my approach, as not long into my first haphazard swinging, I get blasted myself with various Gauss rifles and turrets and go down. No matter, as on my second attempt, I remember to stick to the rooms and not stay out in the halls so the turrets can't rip me to shreds. From there, it's a matter of time of just waiting for each Brotherhood member to approach me, and then hack them down before they can gang up on me. It nearly didn't work, but I was able to simply hide from the doorway and spam a whole bunch of stim packs. After running past the turrets, I enter the second floor and make a beeline for the Elder's quarters, as his 2 guards are the only few left who realistically can stand against me. It's here I find the best weapon for this character run, that being Head Paladin Harden's Super Sledge. Now, I had planned to blow up the bunker and just be done with the Brotherhood for good, but it was not to be. I did not have a change of heart. Wait, no, I mean metaphorically. Anyway. When it came time to tag Taggart and claim the last keycard, his body managed to slip between the cracks of the base and out of reach to loot, like your phone sliding out of your hands and through a street grating. Since my guy is far from having the science smart to hack the terminal, I can't activate the self-destruct and must simply tell Yes Man later to just ignore the Brotherhood, even though they are all dead. Now, while I can return to Yes Man now and get on with the final parts of the main questline, I figure I should really pay the Legion a premature visit at the fort. Oddly enough, even after making my intentions very clear to the guard, I'm able to catch some Legion members literally sleeping and take them out one by one, including even Aurelius himself. My never-ending quench for blood motivates me to take a raft to the fort, and right out of the literal gate, I'm swinging and showing no mercy. Whether they're packing heat, machetes, or ballistic fists, my empty-headed onslaught shows no signs of slowing down when it comes to Legion murder. Now for the man himself, I took a few swings before ducking back out of the tent. I know better than to fight them in the tight confines of Caesar's tent. Making use of the last doses of turbo I got from the cons, I'm able to knock down and kill a few Praetorians, but their numbers keep me from getting close to Caesar. Improvising, I began herding them around. So long as I keep moving, my super sledge has greater range than their fists, and so I can get in more hits than them. I left Caesar for last, and decided to allow the brush gun the honor of giving him a impromptu lobotomy to remove his tumor by removing his entire head from existence. I then eat him to celebrate my victory, all the while other legionaries watch on, and after bonking a few more legion, I can get to the other reason for being here. I end up having to do this twice, by the way. While fighting the sentry bots on my way out, I must have ignored the high levels of radiation in the bunker and ended up dying from radiation poisoning, which I think is a first for me, I believe. Not wanting to think they got the upper hand on me, I still decided to kill them, just making sure to lower my rad poison levels beforehand. When I returned to Yes Man, apparently enough time hasn't passed as he hasn't respawned yet. After killing 24 hours time in Good Springs, having a Sunny Sniles snack and a Doc Mitchell dessert, I returned. Man, the strip feels just so eerie when no one's around. Oh wait, I forgot about the last third of the strip.
Who was that? Found you!
Over here.
Thankfully, in that time, Yes Man has returned and can get a move on with the ending. With that in mind, I returned to the El Dorado substation again and re-kill all the NCR stationed there. With the override chip installed, it's back to Yes Man one last time, after killing all the Securitrons in the Lucky 38 and on the strip that had respawned.
Unacceptable behavior has been noted. 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 Unacceptable.
Unacceptable condition! Unacceptable!
And then tell him Kimball can have his express lobotomy at the dam. It's a shame, all I needed was him to get the Meet a Champions perk. Oh well, no crying over spilt human meat, it's time for the dam. First things first, I immediately turn on to destroy my Securitron backup, having no need for him. Fighting across the dam is very straightforward. I just pull out the super sledge, start running in one direction, and never stop swinging. Some Legion carry super sledges too, so I'm able to repair mine to max quality. This really trivializes whatever stands in my way, as both Legion and NCR bullets just pounce right off of me, my health bar barely registering their damage. Super Slam also allows for some good juggle combos on these Centurions here too. Once in the Legate's camp, I deal with any extra Legion I can reach before facing the man himself. As for Lanius, I, like Benny, don't bother with chatting and sprint weapons swinging in his direction to begin the fight. With how devastating this build is, I'm confident in facing all of his backup. I did knock him down for a time, but while mopping up some of the Praetorians, he slipped away for his mid-fight retreat. I didn't let up and ran after him, catching him while doing a little dance in the corner and cutting him down for good. Just like Kaisar before him, the Legate makes for a nice snack while the other remaining Legion watch on. One problem later, though, when it comes to confronting General Oliver, his Ranger detachment are able to output enough concentrated fire and actually manage to kill me. Me being an idiot, I forget to save after killing the Legate and thus have to do it all over again. Second time around, and I finish the Legate off again by using VATS to catch him while running away. Does anyone else want some tenderized Legate meat? I saved this time and further overdosed myself on all the drugs in my inventory, determined not to let General Wait and See have the last laugh. This time they don't all immediately focus fire on me, and I'm able to make up for not having President Kimball for dinner. I attempt to eat General Oliver before being rudely interrupted by Yes Man. One last note, the interruption then causes an unusual glitch when it comes to the ending slide. Regardless, the rest of the ending plays as usual, confirming that a Lobotomite can indeed beat Fallout New Vegas. My thought process starting this run was that my character would become an absolute glass cannon, as I could get some very strong weapons but be really lacking in defense with the jumpsuit and mask. It's only after remembering some of the very strong and albeit broken perks in New Vegas that I realized how unstoppable I became by the end. Without Radchild, this would have been 10 times harder for sure. But with that being said, this concludes this challenge run of Fallout New Vegas. If you enjoyed, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, comment, and or sub. And if you have any other good ideas for runs like this, feel free to tell me all about it. That being said, that is all I had to say, aside from a final goodbye.
We accomplished a lot together. It was fun. Take care.